Alright everybody, welcome to the next prophecy update. We got some different news for you, we got some rumors of wars, we got some peace talk, we got a couple different things for you. Alright, let's get started. Israel eyes Syria-Turkey military drill. Syria and Turkey began 3 days of joint military exercises on Tuesday, raising concerns with the Israel defense establishment about the strengthening ties between the two countries. Ties between Israel and Turkey have significantly deteriorated over the past 17 months. Israel is concerned that the border protection exercise between Syria and Turkey will lead to a full-fledged defense ties between the countries and the possible transfer of Israel technology from Turkey to Syria. Nevertheless, the two countries are pursuing joint business ventures and are in talks with the Colombian military about the possible sale of upgraded M60 tanks. The same tanks that Israel Military Industries, together with Turkey, upgraded for the Turkish military. The two companies handed over the last of the 170 tanks in a ceremony earlier this month in Turkey. So far, in the past, 3 weeks or so, Iran do a Persian Gulf drill. We've seen Syria and Turkey now that are doing a drill, and a while back we saw Israel do a historical domestic drill. I wonder what this could be adding up to. There is definitely a preparation going on. There's no other explanation as to why. Now that we are seeing Turkey switch sides, things are definitely going to heat up with Israel. The pressure is on. They are surrounded by enemies, just as the Bible quotes. They are surrounded by enemies, just as Yeshua said they would be. Things are not going to just be sitting for too long. We are going to see some things very soon. But we know whose side the Lord is on. We know whose side He is fighting for, and that is Israel. We are living in very, very interesting times. Alright, speaking of war, Iran, Syria, and Hezbollah gear up to provoke summer war. U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates said on Tuesday night, April 27th, quote, Hezbollah has far more rockets and missiles than most governments in the world. Gates went on to accuse Syria and Iran of providing Hezbollah with rockets of ever-increasing capability, adding, this is obviously a problem for the whole region and we're watching it very carefully. Careful watch without corresponding actions to interrupt the massive flow of weapon shipments constantly smuggled from Syria to Hezbollah is a repeat of a misplaced self-restraint which invited Hezbollah to launch the last Lebanon conflict in the summer of 2006. Dragging Israel and its homeland into war in the summer of 2010 would serve the political and military interests of Iran, Syria, and Hezbollah. It would generate a Middle East crisis, overwhelming enough to focus international efforts on calming the situation. So distracting the world's attention on Iran's arrival at the critical stage of a nuclear bomb program and its drive for sanctions against the Islamic Republic. Jordan King warns of summer war. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, the Jordanian king said the meeting of the Arab countries will be held in July to discuss the so-called peace process. Quote, if we hit the summer and there's no active process, there's a very good chance for conflict and nobody wins when it comes to that, he added. What we're hoping for is an active engagement by the Palestinians with the Americans and the Israelis with the Americans. If we stay at the status quo, others in the regions are not sitting idly by. So the chance of conflict is always very high. War would be disastrous for the Israelis, for the Arabs, and for us all. So not only are we seeing joint military exercises in locations in the Middle East, we are seeing that the Jordan king is warning of a summer war. We are seeing that Iran, Syria, and Hezbollah are not only gearing up for a summer war, but they're actually considering provoking a summer war. There's definitely some crazy things going on. Do I think there's going to be a summer war? I think it's definitely plausible. Absolutely. I would be very, very surprised if we got through this year without seeing a war break out. Barack Obama meets Palestinians Abbas and spars with Israel over West Bank. Mr. Abbas came to Washington hoping for the United States to increase pressure on Israel to back a Palestinian state. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, declined to take his visit to the White House last week. The comments were the clearest example yet of the rift emerging between the United States President, who has vowed vigorously to pursue the peace process as part of a changed approach to the region, and Mr. Netanyahu, who presides over a hardline government that is largely opposed to the concessions. Mr. Abbas has ruled out restarting peace talks until Israel moves all roadblocks and freezes settlement buildings, an issue he earlier said would top his agenda in Washington. The Palestinians have been encouraged that there finally appears to be a U.S. president prepared to make the settlement issue a public priority. Chief Palestinian missions in Washington said, quote, "This administration has indicated clearly that it wants to move forward. It's a pity Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't learn from history. He is the only one in the world opposing a freezing of settlements and establishing a Palestinian state. He is trying to prevent the inevitable. But sooner or later he will realize that he can't oppose the will of the international community and the majority of Israelis." Mr. Obama's speech on June 4th in Cairo is expected to be a key indicator on how tough he will be on Israel. Peace talks between Israeli and Palestinian leaders within weeks. President Barack Obama's faltering diplomatic efforts in the Middle East have received a boost after Israel and Palestinian leaderships move closer to launching indirect peace talks. Signs that a crisis provoked by its controversial settlement policy in East Jerusalem was easing. The Israeli government yesterday predicted negotiations that were stalled for 18 months could resume within a fortnight. Raising hopes of a breakthrough, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israel Prime Minister, is to travel to the Red Sea on Monday to secure the backing of the Egyptian president for the talks. Mr. Obama has made Israeli-Palestinian negotiations a foreign policy priority after publicly acknowledging that the stalemates between the two sides are hurting the security interests of the United States of America. Barack Obama threatens to impose peace plan on Middle East. You just can't threaten someone into getting peaceful. That doesn't even make sense. What this title should really say is Barack Obama threatens to impose peace plan on Israel. That's what the title should read. His demands aren't on the Palestinian side at all. He's not demanding anything of the Palestinians, but he's demanding everything of Israel. Barack Obama has warned Israel he will pave the way for an independent Palestinian state if the peace process remains deadlocked until autumn. The U.S. president is proposing to hand control of the Middle East peace process to the international community unless there is a breakthrough in the next few months, Israel's officials have said. Mr. Obama has formulated a secret plan with leading European allies to convey an international peace conference by the end of the year. The move would fulfill one of Israel's deepest fears by effectively stripping the Jewish state of its power to dictate the course of talks. The conference would attempt to end decades of Israel-Palestinian conflict by pressuring both sides to accept difficult compromises on issues ranging from the future of millions of Palestinian refugees to the status of Jerusalem. Mr. Obama is eager to gain international recognition for the creation of a Palestinian state. This is a pretty big deal. They're not playing games anymore. Things are getting very serious.